Here we are on East Nanjinglu, and it is where the land trains come in. I need to make sure I'm not in the way for this one. And this is where we finished on the Shanghai for free, apart from the 10 RMB for the land train in the last video. Now what I will do is walk down to the Bund and along the Bund and show you some of the sites there for free. I'll put a link to Shanghai for free, or Shanghai on a Shoestring Part 1 up in the corner, and that's when I did People's Square and around People's Square, which is on the west end of East Nanjinglu, and now we're going to the east end, which is over on the riverside. And on East Nanjinglu there's another one of the fully automatic coffee machines. I'll put a link up here to where we saw one when we got on bus 71. This is worth pointing out, which is originally Sassoon House, and it is now the Cathay Peace Hotel. What we will do is come back to that later, because I'm going to try and do the Bund buildings in order, just to have a bit of structure to where I am. And there we have a classic view from Shanghai, which is looking across the Huangpu River over to the Pudong side, and all of the modern skyscrapers in Lujia's Way, starting with the Oriental Pearl Tower there. We've got the second tallest building as of this video, which is the Shanghai Tower here. We've got the Shanghai World Financial Center, sometimes called the Bottle Opener, because of the hole in the top, and then just right next to it is the Jinnao Tower, which is the slightly more angular design. You can hardly see it, and that was actually the very first super tall. And up on the Bund we have this promenade, and just like East Nanjinglu, always busy. It's an absolute prime spot to get a photo, and I've been here before in one of my videos, the bus 71 video. This is the classic Bund, or Waitan in Chinese. It's actually based on Zhongshan East number 1 road, and what I'll do is go down to number 1, which is way down there, and come up to here and on to Suzhou Creek at the other end. But I just wanted to say a few things here. Bund comes from a Hindi word, and it basically means embankment, so it is used to create a barrier between the river and the buildings, and it was only in this construction, I believe, as late as something like the 1990s. As far as getting here, we've just come down East Nanjinglu, which was using metro line, hi guys, which was using metro line 2 or 10. You can also come in via the Bund sightseeing tunnel over from Pudong, and that has an exit there, or you can also get a ferry, and the ferry dock I think is just up there in the distance. Yes, the closest ferry terminal to the Bund is down at the south end, and it's just there. I'm going to use Yan'anlu as the start and break point of the classic Bund. It's also easy because this is number 1 here, but before I do that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this building here. You can't see it between the trees. This tower here. And as ever, before I really get into some details, I have to say, you know, I'm not a total expert on these things. There's bound to be some mistakes, and I apologize for that in advance. Okay, so this is a meteorological signaling tower, and I believe it was used by the Jesuits, set up originally by the Jesuits, who had a weather station in Shujiahui some 7 kilometers over that away, and they would cycle the meteorological details down to this tower, and they would semaphore on the tip of the tower there to all of the ships that were on the river what the weather conditions were going to be, you know, coming up. It used to be a museum, and it used to be a cafe, and I believe it is neither now. I don't think it's even open at all. These information plaques are going to be useful. Okay, so it was the Gutzlaff signal tower. It was set up in 1865, and a cement version created in 1907. It was used by the police, and the museum was set up in 1993, but it is currently empty and closed. A shame. Originally the roadway was here and about this width, and there was parks over here, and then it was widened from the current 6 to 10 lanes, so 5 each way, and then it was restricted back down to 6 lanes each way during the Shanghai World Expo time, and a tunnel has been put underneath, and also the end of Yan'anlu was also tidied up to make it a much more pedestrian friendly environment. The area was very busy in the 1860s to the 1930s with all of these various financial institutions as part of the international settlement. The French settlement, or the former French concession, came to the river just over that side before number one of this part of the Bund. The riverside is over here, the boats would have come up there. There are various architectural styles of building. I won't name them because I'll get them wrong, okay? So in the 1950s, obviously things changed and there was the Cultural Revolution and the Communist Party took charge of most of the buildings. I apologise for the noise. There is a metal plate that the cars are going in over next to me. Number one originally was called the McBain Building, and it housed the Shanghai offices of the Royal Dutch Shell and Asiatic Petroleum Company, and it's now an art museum. We'll have a little bit of a look inside. We're not going to look at all of the buildings. I might not even name all of the buildings. So I'll attempt to show you for free inside as many of the most interesting buildings as I can. So this is number one. It looks like it's been recently renovated, and as I was saying, it's now an art centre, the Shanghai Joshe International central space here, and we can see up there to the roof. This is number two, which was the British Club, and it's now the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Let's take a look inside. So there we have the hotel's name, and imagine back in the 1880s, 1890s, getting through that door. If you were not a person, and in fact a man of means, you wouldn't have been able to get in. I read a book about a policeman, and he was not of the class to be able to get into the building. So it has this lovely entrance hallway. They put a good Christmas tree up here during the festive period. Now this is a shame, I'll have to show you a photo of it, but the long bar is closed. The doors are locked, you can't really see in there, but there is a long bar, 33 metres in length, and where you sat on it was showing your status in society. The closer to the river, the higher you were. This door, I believe, is closed as well. That's a shame. Now, I'll go further back into the hotel to show you some other parts of it. This is one of the hotels that does a good job of a Sunday brunch, and I think it was restored somewhere around about the 2010 period, when a lot of things were restored because of the Shanghai Expo. There's a company event going on in here, which is the old Salon de Ville, which is sometimes used for dining, and then you can go up these old curved stairs here. And then there's some other interesting rooms here. Here we are on the roof of where that large dining space was, and you can see that that is in fact the large hotel building, obviously a relatively recent addition. The Shanghai Club Ballroom in now the Waldorf Hotel, and it's interesting to say that a special event happened in March 27 when, for a rare occasion, ladies were permitted, and then in the 1930s they began to include lady partners so that they could find their men in their second home. There's our Bund view, a few trees in the way there, but you can see the super talls. Interesting to see they have a painting of the Bund. I guess it is circa 1920s, 30s, some motor cars. And you can see where there's these various footbridges going down to the boats. There we leave the Waldorf and the many functions going on. They're doing a good business with many, what was there, about 4 things going on? And then back out through these doors. As you can see, the former Shanghai Club, or as I believe the British Club, at number 2. Here we have number 3, which is a kimberlite jewellery store on the ground floor. We've got some details here. It was a union building, different companies in here, finished in 1915, 6 stories, eclectic style, earliest steel frame. There's nothing architecturally interesting there. However, down the side there's an entrance which will take us to the upper stories. So that's interesting. All 4 restaurants are Michelin listed. I think one of them's got a star, and we're going to go to Pop, which is on the top floor. So here we are on the rooftop terrace of the Pop restaurant. I didn't film on the way in here just in case that was a little bit too rude, but you can see there is the weather tower where we were earlier, and that's the Waldorf Hotel. There's the skyscrapers over in Pudong, and this is called the Cupola, I believe, and I know that Arnold Schwarzenegger at least has had a meal in there. There's a single table, probably many other celebrities as well, but what this gives us is a view above the Bund. You can see the promenade there and the rest of the buildings stretching off into the distance. So you don't need to necessarily do this for free. You can always stop and actually have a drink here. There is a bar, and in fact there is the restaurant here in the background as well. It's got quite a nice outside seating area as well that you can see here. I'll just go and have a quick look. Now we've got another restaurant in the building across the way. That used to be M on the Bund, which closed around about a year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. Leaving 3 on the Bund, and I will go straight across the road to number 4, which has also got some restaurant in it. I might go and have a look at least. I managed to get on the roof of number 4 as well, so we were just over there at number 3. This is what used to be M on the Bund, but it's now changed to Gulf, I think, and it's now a Chinese brand. So after looking at notes, number 5 used to be called the Nissin building, and it had some Japanese merchants in it. So number 6 was completed in 1897. It is in a Gothic revival style, and it's currently got a couple of banks in, one of which is HSBC. I can't remember what the other one is. Onwards. Here we have number 7, which was the site in 1882 of the first telephone exchange. This building was actually constructed later than that, around about 1914, and it is in a French late Renaissance style with 2 Baroque style domes. Inside is now the Bangkok Bank, and nothing interesting to see architecturally. Number 9, I've gone to wide angle, so loads of barrel effect. I don't have much on this, you can't get in, and it's called the Russell & Co building, and it housed the China Shipping Merchant Company. After number 9, and before anything further, go down Fuzhou Lu, and there's a food and beverage option. So, oops, I just think I walked through somebody's videoing, I do apologise. Anyway, down Fuzhou Lu, and I'll show you a place to go. There's the Bund, down Fuzhou Lu, about 100 metres on the left you've got Captain House. It's a youth hostel, I believe, excuse me. And if we go inside, you can see that we've got the Captain on the rooftop. I don't think it's going to be open, but we can always have a look. We're on the 5th floor, and this way to get up to the 6th. Captain, speakeasy, you can see the times there, and it's closed. Yep. Here we are on the 5th floor. The Captain is 1 floor above us, and you can see what I mean by just behind the Bund there's kind of some relatively normal buildings and everyday life going on. Right, the elevator's here. Pop at the top of number 3 where we just were is relatively reasonable, but for something even more reasonable you've got this Cochinal 9 Spanish restaurant and bar, and again this is just down Fuzhou Street. We were in that building right there where we went up to the Captain's bar. that brings us to the end of part 1 of the Shanghai Bund for free video, where we went from number 1 through to number 11, and we saw such things as the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and the restaurants in number 3 and number 5 on the Bund, and we ended up at the Captain's Bar. I'll put a link in for number 2 up above, where we will go from number 12, which is the HSBC building, fabulous restoration and ceiling, all the way through to the Peace Hotel, and then finally the Peninsula Hotel and the former British Consulate. Please join me on the second video. I hope you enjoyed this one and consider liking and subscribing. Thank you very much.